plan those provisions on the paper, and the contractor has to provide it. But ultimately, it is up to you whether you want to keep those provisions in a working state or you want to get those areas encroached upon. So how do you ensure that those provisions are kept in working spaces? The systems which require annual maintenance contract, you are giving it to the right people, and you are not letting the areas which are left as refuge, the safe areas, these are not encroached upon. See, all of us should understand one thing: in a hospital, the evacuation process is a two-step process. First, inpatient is shifted on the same floor to a safe room. And you would be surprised, the system adopted for that. It's called reverse start. First, the people who are mobile, who are in a stable health, they are evacuated first because they don't require any assistance. Then comes the people who are wheelchair bound. They require few lesser assistance. And third comes the critical patient who are to be shifted with the equipment attached to them or on the bed. But once the vertical evacuation starts, then comes your traditional start system. The more critical are vertically transferred first, and then the more stable one are transferred later. So, Professor, please tell us how do you, the hospital which you are managing, how do you ensure that these systems are in working state all the time, and the safe pockets on all the floors are not encroached upon? I have seen even in the best of the hospitals, I won't like to name, the areas meant for these purposes are used for stacking or parking these stretchers. They are full of stretchers, or the wheelchairs are stacked, or even the consumables are stacked. So, Professor, please tell us how do you ensure it?
Thank you. I would like to go a little back and forth to sort out these issues. First, she mentioned about ramp. South India, they are insisting on ramp these days, all the hospitals. But then they are all big hospitals, they are not small hospitals. Northern India, they have not as yet insisted on ramps, but some government hospitals do have ramps. AIIMS doesn't have ramps, except from ground to first floor or something like that. Encroachment on the place. Nobody wants to do it, but somebody forces us to do it. Who is that? I think it's the government orders and machineries. They insist on storage of documents, storage of material, and requirement for all those things. One recent example I'll give you. There is a PNDT department which was collecting files from us from 1st of every month, and they were collecting the papers. Now, after so many years, they realized they had no use of it, so they issued an order 2 months back that you bring the papers to us, get it signed, and store yourself. If you cannot store, where do I store? So I have to store them somewhere. You saw the movie of AIIMS, which we were just watching. I was watching it very closely. I am from AIIMS, but that time it was not that big. Not so many buildings were there. You see, all the areas which were corrected were freshly washed. I don't know how they are now, after being freshly washed. The control room, I specifically mentioned to the colleague sitting to me. The control room had a well-mentioned VIP handling area. So if you put the use to some other thing also, that is how the control room is maintained. Otherwise, the control room will not be maintained. I don't know how many of you noticed that small word at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so that is how you have to make these things usable for other areas also. That is how these are maintained. Now, evacuation is a responsibility of the hospital, definitely. But who decides? It's the designer decides. Now, somewhere they insisted that even for 2-room, the door size should be more than 2 meters. Retrofitting should be done. Not possible. So somebody decides, somebody else decides who is not working. General ward, 2 exits, both more than 2 meters, 2.5 meters. So these are possible in a greenfield hospital, not in a brownfield hospital. Old buildings cannot be converted like these to functional ability. Evacuation, the size of the wheelchair is, you must know, the bed is 3 feet by 6 feet, and wheelchair, the stretcher is 30 inches by 6 feet. The wheelchair is 25 inches and 42 inches. 25 inches is the width and 42 inches is the length of the wheelchair. Now, keeping these things in mind, why people are insisting on 6 feet or 7 feet doors? Great problem. Collect license fees, great problem. And then C factor comes into it. Evacuation, you said the 30-meter rule. You see, the healthcare has evolved over the last 70 years. When hospitals, these medical colleges were decided, they wanted 25 acres. And the rule still persists. But where is the space in Delhi or big cities for 25 acres? When I checked with China, China has gone for vertical growth. The same square feet area, but over 25 floors or 30 floors. So there has to be vertical evacuation. The plan has to be there, but then that goes with the building. Otherwise, the area where assembly area, which is commonly called, should be on the ground floor, and rest of the things were have been mentioned in the morning that somebody should count the patients and where they have been sent. Ambulance should be accessible. All those things are basic things, but I would like to mention in the building design some finer points also. And I would like to go back to the other residential buildings also at some level. We recently had 2 fires. One was in Hyderabad, one was in Dwarka, Delhi. We lost many people in those fires. The problem was only one exit. Only one exit in both these buildings, and many people died. And another thing which I have noticed in most of these buildings, the electrical panels have been positioned near the exit places for the ease of maintenance. Just think about it, you people have been installing, how many panels are there in the exit area? If those panels are catching fire, how will the patient exit from there, or how will any other person will exit? So as a building designer, I would like you to look into this aspect, that please don't put these fire panels close to the emergency exit area, especially if you have only one exit area. Fire in ICU, you have mentioned the rules very clearly. Those people, patients who can walk, they can walk. Patients who are on wheelchair, they should go next. And patients on ventilator, they are generally the last, but then that should happen within 45 seconds to 1 minute, 2 minutes. Most of the ventilators, they have all these equipment, they have battery backup of 15 to 30 minutes, and the later ones, now the new batteries are coming, so the backup is of 1 to 2 hours, 3 hours. So you can maintain them in the safe areas and need not panic about it. One more thing was pointed out by the AIMS speaker, that the panic is more, smoke is more, the deaths are less. If you have noticed that. So the panic has to be prevented. In this evacuation process, the panic has to be prevented to save more patients. That is the underlying thing, that act immediately, the team leader should be there. Now this control of fire, it depends on the personality of the person also. Now how come this personality has come into all this technical discussion? Myself, I am keen on safety. I work. I lead the quality and fire safety team of my hospital. I take the rounds myself periodically. But is my son, who is going to the next inheritor, is he of the same character? No, he is not. Unfortunately, he is not. So somewhere the personality comes into picture. So anybody who is leading the fire escape team or creating a whole system should be having that concept in mind that patient life is important and the evacuation has to be done properly. There are many other things which I have noted down, but I think we should go for specific discussion if there is anything from the audience.
When we are talking about evacuation,